The alarm bells rang through the bridge of the Aurora as Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair. The sound was sharp and loud, making everyone on the bridge look up from their work. Jake had been exploring space for 10 years, but he had never heard a distress signal like this one. "Captain, we're getting something strange," said Dr. Lisa Carter, the ship's science officer. She was a smart woman with short brown hair who always spoke carefully. "The signal is coming from the edge of our space. It's not human." Jake stood up and walked to her station. The screen showed waves of light moving up and down in patterns he had never seen before. "How far away is it?" "About 6 hours at full speed, sir," answered Ryan Brooks, the tactical officer. Ryan was a big man with strong arms who had fought in many battles. "Should we call for backup?" Jake thought for a moment. The Aurora was a small exploration ship with only 20 crew members. They were far from any other human ships. But something about the signal made him curious. It sounded sad, like someone crying for help. "No," Jake said finally. "We go alone. Set course for the signal." Lisa looked worried. "Captain, we don't know what's out there." "It could be dangerous." "Everything in space is dangerous, Lisa, but someone needs help, and we're the only ones close enough to do anything about it." The Aurora moved through space toward the signal. As they got closer, Jake could see something huge on the main screen. It was a ship, but not like any human ship he had ever seen. It was black and silver, with sharp points sticking out from its sides. It looked like it was made for war. "My God," whispered Lisa, "it's massive. At least 10 times bigger than our ship." Ryan checked his weapons. "Captain, that's a Zephyrian dreadnought. I've seen pictures in the military files. Those things can destroy whole planets." Jake had heard stories about the Zephyrians. They were aliens who ruled a big empire somewhere in the galaxy. They were strong fighters who conquered other worlds. But this ship was not moving. It just floated in space like a dead thing. "Are there any life signs?" Jake asked. Lisa worked at her station. "Very few. Most of the ship seems empty. But there's something strange near the center. It's like a heartbeat, but very slow. Any response to our signals?" "Nothing, Captain. The ship appears to be powered down except for basic life support." Jake made his decision. "We're going aboard." "Lisa, Ryan, you're with me. Get 3 more crew members and meet me in the shuttle bay." Ryan shook his head. "Captain, this is against all safety rules. We should report this to command and wait for a bigger ship." "By the time a bigger ship gets here, whoever is on that ship might be dead," Jake said. "We're going in." 20 minutes. Later, Jake and his team were in a small shuttle flying toward the alien ship. The dreadnought was even more frightening up close. Its hull was covered in strange symbols and weapon ports that could destroy their little shuttle in seconds. "There's a docking bay on the lower section," Lisa said, pointing to a dark opening in the ship's side. "It's big enough for our shuttle." They flew into the alien ship and landed in a huge bay filled with strange aircraft. The air was thick and smelled like metal and something else Jake could not identify. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. "Air is breathable," Lisa said, checking her scanner. "But there's something wrong with the gravity. It's stronger than what we're used to." Jake put on his helmet and checked his weapon. "Stay close. We don't know what we might find in here." They walked through corridors that were too tall for humans. The walls were covered in pictures of alien creatures with blue skin and sharp teeth. Everything was built for beings much bigger and stronger than humans. "These Zephyrians must be huge," whispered one of the crew members. "And they like to show off their battles," Ryan added, looking at a wall covered in pictures of conquered worlds. They found many dead bodies as they walked deeper into the ship. The Zephyrians were indeed big, almost 8 feet tall with blue skin and muscles like rocks. But they had not been killed by enemies. They had killed each other. This was a civil war, Lisa said, examining the bodies. "Look at their weapons. They're all Zephyrian," Jake nodded. "Someone was fighting for control of this ship." They followed Lisa's scanner deeper into the ship. The heartbeat signal was getting stronger. Finally, they reached a large room filled with strange machines. In the center was a metal chamber with a window. The signal is coming from in there, Lisa said. Jake walked to the window and looked inside. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. Inside the chamber was a female Zephyrian, but she was different from the dead soldiers. She was beautiful, in a way that was both alien and familiar. Her skin was lighter blue, and her face was more gentle. She was sleeping, surrounded by a soft blue light. She's in some kind of stasis, Lisa said. Her life signs are very slow, but she's alive. Ryan raised his weapon. Could be a trap, Captain. We should leave her alone. But Jake could not look away from the sleeping alien. Something about her face seemed sad, even in sleep. Can we wake her up? Lisa studied the machines. I think so. But Captain, we don't know anything about her. She could be dangerous. She's alone on a ship full of dead bodies, Jake said. She's not dangerous. She's a survivor. Lisa worked at the controls for several minutes. Finally, the blue light faded and the chamber opened with a soft hiss. The alien female opened her eyes. Slowly. They were golden, like the sun. When she saw Jake and his team, she moved faster than any human could. In 1 second, she was lying down. In the next, she was standing and had grabbed Jake by the throat. Her hand was so strong that Jake could barely breathe. She said something in a language that sounded like music and thunder at the same time. Her voice was deep and powerful, but Jake could hear fear in it too. Wait, Jake said, even though he could barely speak. We're not your enemies. We heard your distress signal. We came to help. The alien stopped. She looked at Jake's face, then at his uniform, then at his crew. Slowly, she let go of his throat. She spoke again, but this time in broken English. You are not Zephyrian. What are you? Human, Jake said, rubbing his throat. My name is Jake. Morrison, we're from Earth. She stepped back, confusion on her face. Human? I do not know this word. You're small, weak, but you came here to help me? Yes, Jake said simply. For a long moment, the alien stared at him. Then she did something. That surprised everyone. She smiled. It was a small smile, but it made her face look less frightening and more beautiful. I am Villara, she said, and I think I am very far from home. Jake smiled back. So are we, but maybe we can help each other. Villara looked around the room, then back at Jake. My people would call you foolish for helping a stranger, but I think your foolishness may have saved my life. It's not foolish to help someone who needs it, Jake said. It's what humans do. Villara studied his face for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. Perhaps there is much I can learn from humans, Jake Morrison. As they prepared to leave the dead ship, Jake did not know that this moment would change everything. He had found more than just a survivor. He had found someone who would challenge everything he thought he knew about aliens, about war, and about what it meant to be strong. The Aurora flew away from the dreadnought with its unexpected passenger. Behind them, the dead ship continued its silent journey through space, carrying the secrets of a fallen empire and the beginning of something new. Queen Villara sat in the Aurora's meeting room, her tall frame making the human furniture look small. Jake watched her carefully as she stared at the cup of coffee in her hands. It was the first time he had seen her look uncertain about anything. This drink is bitter, she said, taking another sip, but it makes me feel more awake. It's coffee, Jake explained. Humans drink it when they need energy or when they're thinking about difficult things. Villara nodded and set the cup down. Then it is perfect for what I must tell you. Lisa and Orion sat across from her, both still nervous about having a Zephyrian on their ship. Ryan kept his hand near his weapon, even though Jake had told him it would be useless against someone as strong as Villara. You saved my life, Villara began, her golden eyes meeting Jake's. By the laws of my people, I owe you a debt. But before I can repay it, you must understand what you have gotten yourself into. Jake leaned forward. We're listening. Villara was quiet for a moment, as if she was deciding how much to tell them. I am not just any Zephyrian. I am Queen Villara, ruler of the Zephyrian Empire, or I was until 6 months ago. Ryan sat up straighter. You're their queen? I was, Villara said sadly. My father conquered 40 star systems before he died. Grandfather conquered 30 more. For 300 years, my family has ruled through strength and fear. But I wanted something different. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. I believed we could be strong without being cruel. I thought we could make friends with other species instead of just conquering them. I was wrong. To think my people would accept such ideas. Jake could hear the pain in her voice. What happened? General Thrak happened, Valara said, her voice becoming hard. He was my father's most trusted soldier. When I became queen, I kept him as my military commander. I thought he would help me change our ways. Lisa asked, but he didn't want change? He thought I was weak, Valara replied. He said that queens should rule through fear, not kindness. He said I was destroying everything my family had built. Valara turned back to face them. Thrak gathered other military leaders who agreed with him. They said I was not fit to rule. They said the Empire needed a strong leader who would return to the old ways, so they overthrew you, Jake said quietly. They tried to kill me first, Valara said. Thrak came to my palace with his soldiers. They murdered my guards, my advisors, anyone who had supported me. I fought them, but there were too many. Ryan looked confused. But you're still alive. Thrak had a different plan for me, Valara said, sitting back down. He said death would make me a martyr. Instead, he would make me disappear. He put me in that stasis chamber and sent me into deep space. I would sleep forever, drifting in the void where no one could find me. That's horrible, Lisa said. It was supposed to be, Valara replied. A fate worse than death. But Thrak made one mistake. He used my own flagship to carry me away. He thought it would be fitting for me to die in the ship that had once been my symbol of power. Jake was starting to understand, but the ship didn't just drift. It kept its distress signal running. Yes, Valara said. My loyal engineers programmed it to send out a call for help. They died for that act of rebellion, but their sacrifice brought you to me. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Jake asked the question that was troubling him most. How big is the Zephyrian Empire? 73 star systems, Valara said. Over 200 billion people. Thousands of warships, Ryan went pale. And they're all controlled by this General Thrak now? Yes, Valara said. And he will not stop with what he has. My father and grandfather conquered because they wanted to build an empire. Thrak conquers because he enjoys the fighting. He will not stop until he has defeated everyone. Lisa looked worried. Including humans? Especially humans, Valara said. Thrak has been watching your species for some time. He knows you are growing stronger, building more ships, exploring more worlds. He sees you as a threat that must be eliminated. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. How much time do we have? Not much, Valara said. Thrak was planning to attack human space within the next 2 years. With me gone, there is nothing to stop him. What about other Zephyrians? Jake asked. Surely not all of them support him. Some do not, Valara admitted. But they are afraid. Thrak has made examples of those who oppose him. Fear is a powerful weapon. But you're still alive, Lisa pointed out. If your people knew you had returned ... They would have hope, Valara said, but hope is not enough. Thrak has the military, the weapons, the loyalty of those who profit from war. What do I have? You have us? Jake said simply. Valara looked at him with surprise. You are 5 humans. On a small ship, what can you do against an empire? Maybe more than you think, Jake said. Humans have a way of doing impossible things when we work together. Your species is still young, Valara said. You do not understand the power of the Zephyrian military. One of our battle cruisers could destroy a dozen of your ships. Maybe, Jake said, but you're forgetting something important. What? We're not planning to fight them the way they expect us to fight. Valara frowned. I do not understand. Zephyrians fight with strength and fear, right? Jake said, that's what Thrak expects. But humans fight differently. We use strategy, surprise, and most importantly, we inspire others to fight with us. Inspire? Valara repeated the word as if it was foreign to her. Yes, Jake said. We show People that there's something worth fighting for. Something better than what they have now, Lisa nodded. Like you did with your people when you tried to change the Empire. But I failed, Valara said. You failed because you tried to do it alone, Jake said. But you don't have to be alone anymore. Valara stared at him for a long moment. You would help me fight against an empire that could destroy your entire species? Yes, Jake said without hesitation, because it's the right thing to do. And because if we don't stop Thrak, he'll attack Earth anyway, Ryan added. Better to fight him now than wait for him to come to us? But how? Valara asked. Even if we could somehow defeat Thrak, how would we convince my people to follow me again? We show them a better way, Jake said. We show them that strength doesn't come from conquering others. It comes from protecting them. You speak like a dreamer, Valara said. Maybe, Jake said, but sometimes dreamers change the world. Valara was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer. My people would say you are foolish to help me. They would say you are weak because you choose to protect rather than conquer. What do you say? Jake asked. I say. Valara paused, looking at each of them. I say that maybe weakness is not the opposite of strength. Maybe it is a different kind of strength. Jake smiled. Now you're starting to think like a human. Is that good or bad? Valara asked. That depends on what you want to accomplish, Jake said. If you want to be the kind of queen your father was, then thinking like a human is probably bad. But if you want to be the kind of queen you dreamed of being then maybe I need to learn more about humans, Valara finished. We have time. Jake said, it will take us several days to reach the nearest human outpost. You can learn about us, and we can learn about you. Valara nodded slowly. Very well. But Jake Morrison, I want you to understand something. If we do this, there is no going back. Thrak will hunt us across the galaxy. He will never stop until we are dead. Then we better make sure we stop him. First, Jake said. You are either very brave or very stupid, Valara said. Probably both, Jake replied. But that's what makes us human. For the first time since they had met her, Valara laughed. It was a sound like music, beautiful and strange. Yes, she said. I think I am beginning to understand what makes you human. As the Aurora continued its journey through space, Jake looked out at the stars and wondered what they were getting themselves into. He had started the day as a simple explorer. Now, he was planning to help overthrow an alien empire. But somehow, looking at Valara's face as she learned about human customs from Lisa, he felt they were doing the right thing. The real question was whether the right thing would be enough to save both their species from the storm that was coming. The alarm screamed through the Aurora just as Jake was showing Valara how to use the ship's computer. She looked up from the screen with those golden eyes, and Jake could see she knew what the sound meant. They found us, she said quietly. Jake ran to the bridge with Valara right behind him. Ryan was already at his station, his face pale as he looked at the sensors. Captain, we have 3 Zephyrian warships coming out of hyperspace, Ryan said. They're big ones, battle cruisers. How far away? Jake asked. 20 minutes at full speed. They're not trying to hide. They want us to know they're coming, Jake looked at Valara. Is that normal for Zephyrian tactics? For Thrak, yes, she said. He likes his enemies to be afraid before he kills them. It makes him feel powerful. Lisa looked up from her science station. Captain, I'm picking up a communication signal. It's directed at us. Put it through, Jake said. The main screen flickered and a face appeared that made Valara take a step backward. It was a male Zephyrian, but bigger and scarier than any they had seen before. His blue skin was covered in scars and his eyes were like cold fire. When he smiled, his teeth looked like knives. Hello, my queen, General Thrak said, his voice like grinding metal. I must admit, I am surprised to see you awake. I thought you would sleep forever in the cold darkness of space. Hello, Thrak, Valara said, stepping forward so he could see her. I see you are still as ugly as ever. Thrak laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Still making jokes, I see. That is good. I was worried that your time in stasis had made you boring. What do you want? Valara asked. What I've always wanted, Thrak said. To finish what I started. You should have died. With your loyal fools 6 months ago? Now I must correct that mistake. And what about the humans? Valara asked. They are not part of our fight. But they are, Thrak said, his smile getting wider. They woke you up. They are helping you. That makes them my enemies too. Jake stepped forward. General Thrak, I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We found Queen Valara by accident. We're not looking for a fight. But you found one anyway, Thrak said. Tell me, human, what do you know about the Zephyrian Empire? Enough to know that you're not the rightful ruler, Jake said. Thrak's smile disappeared. Rightful ruler? I am the strongest. That is all that matters. The weak do not deserve to rule. Being strong doesn't mean being cruel, Jake said. How naive, Thrak said. You humans are even more foolish than I thought. No wonder your species is so weak. We're not weak, Jake said. We're just different from you. Different? Thrak laughed. Again, you are small, soft, and you care too much about others. In my empire, such weaknesses get you killed. Maybe, Jake said. But those weaknesses also make us willing to fight for what's right. Fighting for what is right, Thrak repeated. What is right is what the strong decide is right. And I am the strongest. Valara stepped closer to the screen. You were always a fool, Thrak. You think strength only comes from muscles and weapons, but you are wrong. Am I? Thrak asked. Then prove it. Fight me and we will see who is stronger. I will, Valara said, but not today. Today you will have to catch us first. Thrak's eyes became even colder. You cannot run forever, Valara. I have ships all over this sector. There is nowhere to hide. We'll see about that, Jake said, and cut the communication. Ryan, get us out of here, Jake ordered. Full speed. Yes, sir, Ryan said, working at his controls. But Captain, those ships are faster than us. They'll catch us in less than an hour. Then we need to be smarter than them, Jake said. Valara, you know how Thrak thinks. What would he expect us to do? Run toward human space, she said immediately. He would expect us to look for help from your military. Then we do the opposite, Jake said. Lisa, plot a course for the asteroid field in the Kepler system. Captain, that's dangerous, Lisa said. Those asteroids are moving fast, and some of them are huge. Our ship could be crushed. But so could theirs, Jake said. And we're smaller and more maneuverable. We might have a chance. Valara looked at him with something like respect. You think like a warrior, Jake Morrison. But Thrak is not stupid. He will not follow us into the asteroids with all his ships. No, Jake said, but he might follow us with one ship. And one ship we can handle. Can we? Ryan asked. Captain, those battle cruisers have enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But they have to hit us first, Jake said. And in that asteroid field, hitting anything will be difficult. The Aurora raced through space with the 3 Zephyrian ships chasing them. Jake could see them getting closer on the sensors. In 15 minutes, they would be in weapons range. Entering the asteroid field now, Lisa said. The main screen showed a maze of spinning rocks, some as small as cars, others as big as buildings. They moved in unpredictable patterns, crashing into each other and breaking apart. This is insane, Ryan muttered, but he guided the ship between the asteroids with skill. Behind them, the 3 Zephyrian ships stopped at the edge of the field. Jake smiled. Thrak was being careful, just as Valara had predicted. They're not following us, Lisa said. Wait, Valara said, watching the screen. Thrak is too proud to let us escape. He will come, but he will be smart about it. She was right. One of the battle cruisers separated from the group and moved slowly into the asteroid field. It was much more careful than the Aurora, taking time to avoid the larger rocks. That's Thrak's ship, Valara said. He always leads from the front. When he's hunting someone personally, good, Jake said. That means we only have to deal with one ship instead of 3. You do not understand, Valara said. Thrak's ship is his flagship. It has the best weapons, the best shields, the best crew. It is a monster. Then we'll have to be very clever, Jake said. The chase through the asteroid field went on for an hour. The Aurora darted between rocks like a fish swimming through coral, while Thrax's ship followed like a hungry shark. Several times, the Zephyrian ship fired its weapons, but the asteroids blocked most of the shots. We can't keep this up forever, Ryan said. Our engines are getting hot, and we're running low on fuel. Then we end this now, Jake said. Lisa, find me the biggest asteroid in this field. Lisa worked at her station. There's one about 10 kilometers ahead. It's huge, maybe 50 kilometers across. Oh, perfect, Jake said. Take us there. Captain, what are you planning? Velara asked. Something stupid, Jake said. But it might work. They flew toward the massive asteroid with Thrax's ship still following. As they got closer, Jake could see it was covered in deep caves and cracks. Ryan, when I give the word, I want you to fire everything we have at that big crack on the asteroid's surface, Jake said. Sir, that won't damage Thrax's ship, Ryan said. It's not supposed to, Jake said. Just do it. The Aurora flew close to the asteroid, and Jake waited until Thrax's ship was in the perfect position. Now, Ryan fired all their weapons at the crack in the asteroid. The rock split apart, and huge chunks began floating away. Some of them floated directly toward Thrax's ship. The Zephyrian ship tried to avoid the rocks, but there were too many. Its shields flared as asteroids crashed into it. The ship spun out of control, crashing into the side of the big asteroid. Direct. Hit, Ryan shouted, but Jake was not celebrating yet. Is their ship destroyed? No, Lisa said. Damaged, but not destroyed. They're trapped against the asteroid, but they're still alive. Then we go in and finish this, Jake said. Captain, no, Velara said. This is my fight. I should face Thrax alone. We're in this together, Jake said. Besides, you said it yourself, Thrax is stronger than you. But not stronger than all of us, Velara said. Understanding what he meant, they put on their spacesuits and took a shuttle to Thrax's damaged ship. The docking bay was crushed, but they found another way in through a hole in the hull inside. They found Thrax waiting for them in the main corridor. He was even bigger in person, almost 9 feet tall with muscles like steel cables. His armor was dented from the crash, but he did not look hurt. So, the Queen brings her pet humans to fight her battles, he said. I brought my friends, Velara said. Something you would not understand. Friends? Thrax laughed. These weaklings? Watch how easily I can break them. He moved faster than Jake thought possible, grabbing Ryan and lifting him off the ground. Ryan tried to fight back, but Thrax was too strong. Let him go, Jake said, raising his weapon. Or what? Thrax asked. You will shoot me? Your weapons cannot penetrate my armor. He was right. Jake's gun would not hurt someone wearing Zephyrian battle armor, but Jake had an idea. You're right, Jake said. But I don't need to hurt you. I just need to distract you. Distract me from what? Thrax asked. From her, Jake said, pointing behind Thrax. Thrax turned just in time to see Velara jumping toward him. While he was focused on Jake, she had climbed up the wall and was now falling toward him with her weapon ready, but Thrax was too fast. He dropped Ryan and caught Velara by the throat, just as she had done to Jake when they first met. You always were too predictable, Thrax said. That was when Jake did something that no Zephyrian would ever expect. Instead of running away or trying to fight Thrax directly, he threw himself at the general's legs. Jake was small compared to Thrax, but he hit him at just the right angle to make him stumble. Thrax fell backward, and Velara broke free from his grip. She rolled away and came up, fighting, her weapon in her hand. Impossible, Thrax. Jake woke up in the medical bay 3 days after the fight with Thrax. His head hurt, and his left arm was wrapped in bandages. When he tried to sit up, a gentle hand pushed him back down. Stay still, Velara said. Lisa says you need more rest. Jake looked at her face. She had been crying, though she tried to hide it. I'm okay, he said. Just a few bruises. You almost died, Velara said quietly. That piece of metal from Thrax's ship nearly cut your arm off. If Lisa had not been so quick with the medical equipment. But I didn't die, Jake said, and neither did you. That's what matters. Velara was quiet for a long time. She sat in the chair next to his bed, staring at her hands. Jake had never seen her look so troubled. What's wrong? He asked. Everything, she said. While you were sleeping, I received messages from my people. Some of my old supporters are still alive. They heard about Thrax's death, and they want me to return. That's good news, isn't it? It should be, Velara said. But they are asking me to do things I cannot do. What kind of things? Velara stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars looked cold and distant. They want me to reclaim my throne the traditional way. They want me to challenge Thrax's replacement to single combat for the right to rule. Can you do that? Yes, she said. According to our laws, I have the right to make such a challenge. If I win, the Empire is mine again. Then what's the problem? Velara turned to face him. The problem is that if I do this, I have to leave you and your people behind. I have to pretend that humans do not matter to me. I have to act like the old kind of queen again. Jake sat up despite the pain in his arm. Why? Because that is what my people expect, she said. They will follow me if I am strong in the way they understand. But if they think I have become weak because of my friendship with humans, they will reject me. So you have to choose, Jake said slowly. Between being queen and being our friend. Yes, Velara said. And I do not know what to do. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he said, What do you want to do? I want to be queen, she said. My people need a leader who cares about them. Thrax's replacement is even worse than he was. If I do not stop him, millions will die. But I do not want to lose what I have found here, she said, looking directly at him. I do not want to lose you. The words hung in the air between them. Jake felt his heart racing, but not from his injuries. Velara, he said softly. I know. It is foolish, she said quickly. You are human, I am Zephyrian. We are from different worlds, different species. But when you risked your life to save me, something changed inside me. I felt something I have never felt before. What did you feel? Like I was not alone anymore, she said. Like someone finally understood me. Not as a queen, not as a symbol, but as myself. Jake reached out with his good hand and took hers. Her skin was warm and soft, despite her strength. I felt it too, he said. Then you understand why this choice is so difficult, she said. If I go back to being the old kind of queen, I will lose this feeling, I will lose you. Not necessarily, Jake said. What do you mean? You said your people expect you to be strong, in the way they understand. But what if we could show them a new way to be strong? Velara shook her head. You do not understand Zephyrian culture. They have believed the same things for centuries. They will not change their minds easily. Maybe not, Jake said. But you changed your mind. And if you can change, maybe others can too. That is a big risk, Velara said. If I fail, Thrax's replacement will remain in power. My people will continue to suffer. And if you succeed the old way, you'll just become another conqueror, Jake said. Is that really what you want? Velara sat back down in the chair. No, but at least my people would be free from tyranny. Would they be? Jake asked. Or would they just have a different kind of tyranny? A nicer one, maybe, but still tyranny? You think ruling is always tyranny? No, Jake said. I think ruling without the consent of the people is tyranny. But leading people who choose to follow you, that's different. Humans have strange ideas about leadership, Velara said. Maybe, Jake said. But our strange ideas might be exactly what your people need. The next day, Jake was feeling better and was back on the bridge. Velara had been in her quarters for hours, thinking about her choice. When she finally came to the bridge, Jake could see she had made a decision. I have been in contact with my supporters, she said. I told them I will return, but not to challenge for the throne in the traditional way. What did you tell them? Lisa asked. I told them that we will do something that has never been done before in Zephyrian history, Velara said. We will ask the people to choose their own leader. Ryan looked confused. You mean like an election? Something like that, Valara said. But first, we must show them that there is a choice to make. We must show them that there is a better way to live than under the rule of tyrants. How do we do that? Jake asked. We start a revolution, Valara said. Not a revolution of weapons and conquest, but a revolution of ideas. We show the Zephyrian people what it means to be free. That sounds dangerous, Lisa said. It is, Valara. Agreed. More dangerous than traditional combat. If we fail, we will all die. But if we succeed, we can change an entire civilization, Jake smiled. I like dangerous plans. I thought you might, Valara said, smiling back at him. But Jake, I want you to understand what this means. If we do this, there is no going back. We will be enemies of the current government. They will hunt us across the galaxy. They're already hunting us? Jake pointed out. Yes, but now they will have a reason to hunt your entire species, Valara said. Humans will be seen as rebels and traitors to the Empire. Your people will be in danger because of me. Our people will be in danger anyway, Jake said. You said yourself that Thrax replacement plans to attack human space. At least this way we're fighting back. Valara nodded slowly. Then you are willing to help me? I'm willing to help you, Jake said. But I have one condition. What condition? We do this together, Jake said. No more talk about you facing things alone. We're partners in this. Partners, Valara repeated. I like that word. Good, Jake said, because we're going to need each other if we're going to pull this off. Over the next few days, they worked together to plan their revolution. Valara contacted her remaining supporters and told them about the new plan. Many of them were confused and frightened. They had expected their queen to return as a conqueror, not as a liberator, but some understood what she was trying to do. Few ship captains agreed to meet with them secretly. Several planetary governors said they would listen to new ideas. Even some soldiers said they were tired of endless war. It's not much, Valara said as they reviewed their list of allies. But it's a start. Every revolution starts with just a few people who believe in something better, Jake said. You really think we can do this? Valara asked. I think we can try, Jake said. And sometimes trying is enough. Valara looked at him with those golden eyes, and Jake saw something in them that he had never seen before. It was not just respect or friendship. It was something deeper, something that made his breath catch in his throat. Jake, she said softly, yes? When this is over, when we have freed my people, I want to ask you something. What? I want to ask if you would consider staying with me, she said. Not as an ally or a friend, but as something more. Jake felt his heart racing again. Valara ... You do not have to answer now, she said quickly, but I wanted you to know how I feel. You have changed me, Jake Morrison. You have made me want to be better than I was. You've changed me too, Jake said. I never thought I would care about someone so much that I would be willing to fight an entire empire for them. Is that what you are doing? She asked. Fighting an empire for me? No, Jake said. I'm fighting an empire with you. There's a difference. Valara smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing Jake had ever seen. Yes, she said. There is a difference. As the Aurora traveled toward the first world they planned to liberate, Jake thought about how much his life had changed. A few weeks ago, he had been a simple explorer. Now, he was planning to overthrow an alien government, and he was falling in love with an alien queen. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It was probably impossible, but as he looked at Valara planning their next move, her golden eyes bright with hope and determination, Jake realized he had never been happier in his life. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to change the galaxy. The space above the Zephyrian homeworld was filled with warships. General Corax, who had taken power after Thrax's death, commanded over 200 vessels. Jake looked at the enemy fleet on his screen and tried not to think about how impossible their situation was. How many ships do we have? He asked. 37, Ryan answered. Most of them are small fighters and patrol boats. We have maybe 5 real warships, Against 200, Lisa said quietly. This is suicide, Captain. Jake looked at Valara, who stood beside his command chair. She had been very quiet since they arrived at her homeworld. This was the moment they had been planning for weeks. But now that it was here, the odds seemed overwhelming. Are you sure about this? Jake asked her. No, she said honestly. But it is the only chance we have. 3 weeks ago, they had started their revolution by visiting Zephyrian worlds where people were unhappy with Corax's rule. They had shown these people something they had never seen before, a leader who asked for their support instead of demanding. At first, most Zephyrians had been confused. They did not understand why Valara would ask for their opinions instead of simply giving orders, but slowly some began to listen. They were tired of war, tired of fear, tired of watching their children die in battles that served no purpose, except to make their leaders feel powerful. The revolution had grown slowly but steadily. Ship captains joined them, bringing their crews. Planetary governors declared their independence from Corax's government. Common soldiers abandoned their posts to fight for a better future, but Corax had not been passive. He had hunted them across the galaxy, destroying any world that supported Valara. He had made it clear that anyone who opposed him would die, along with their families and friends. Now it came down to this final battle above the Zephyrian homeworld. If they won, Valara could address her people directly and offer them a choice. If they lost, the revolution would die with them. Incoming transmission from the enemy fleet, Lisa said. Put it through, Jake said. General Corax's face appeared on the screen. He was even uglier than Thrak had been, with scars covering half his face and cold, dead eyes. So, the Pretender Queen returns at last, he said. And she brings her human pets with her. Hello, Corax, Valara said calmly. I see you are still hiding behind your fleet instead of facing your enemies in person. I do not need to face you. Personally, Corax said, my ships will crush you like insects. Your pathetic revolution ends today. Maybe, Valara said. But before you attack, I want to give your people something you never have. What is that? The truth, Valara said. Before Corax could respond, Valara nodded to Lisa, who activated a special transmitter they had installed on the Aurora. Suddenly, Valara's image was being broadcast to every ship in Corax's fleet and to every communication device on the planet below. My people, Valara said, her voice calm and strong. I am Queen Valara, daughter of King Thorgrim, rightful ruler of our empire. I speak to you now not to demand your obedience, but to offer you a choice. Turn off that transmission. Corax shouted to his crew, but it was too late. The signal was already spreading across the entire system. For centuries, our people have lived under the rule of tyrants who told us that strength comes from conquering. Others, Valara continued, we have been taught that the only way to be safe is to make others afraid of us. But I have learned something different. Jake watched the faces of the Zephyrian crews on the enemy ships as they listened to their former queen. Some looked angry, but others looked curious. I have learned that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves, Valara said. I have learned that we can be powerful without being cruel. I have learned this from humans, a species we were taught to see as weak and worthless. Lies, Corax screamed. Humans are parasites. They will make you weak. But many of the Zephyrian soldiers were no longer listening to him. They were listening to Valara. Look around you, she said. Look at what our empire has become under leaders. Like Corax, we fight endless wars that serve no purpose. We destroy worlds that could have been our friends. We live in fear of our own government. Is this the strength our ancestors wanted for us? On the planet below, crowds were gathering in the streets, watching Valara's broadcast on public screens. Jake could see some of them nodding in agreement. I offer you a different path, Valara said. A path where we are strong because we choose to be good, where we are respected because we earn that respect, not because we force it from others, where our children can grow up without fear. Enough. Corax shouted, all ships attack, destroy the rebels. But something strange happened. Instead of attacking, many of the ships in Korax's fleet began to slow down. Some of them stopped completely. "What are you doing?" Korax demanded. "I gave you an order." One of his ship captains appeared on the communication channel. "General, my crew has voted. We will not fire on Queen Valara." "Voted?" Korax screamed. "Since when do soldiers vote?" "Since now," the captain said calmly, and his ship turned away from the battle formation. More ships began to defect. Their captains announced that they were joining Valara's revolution. Some of them had been secretly supporting her for weeks, waiting for this moment. Within an hour, Korax's fleet of 200 ships had shrunk to less than 50. The rest had either joined Valara or declared neutrality. "You fools!" Korax screamed. "She has poisoned your minds with human weakness. I will destroy you all." The battle that followed was unlike any space battle in Zephyrian history. Instead of two organized fleets fighting each other, it was chaos. Ships that had served together for years were now on opposite sides. Friends were fighting friends, brothers were fighting brothers, but the outcome was never really in doubt. Most of the Zephyrian military had chosen Valara over Korax. When his flagship was finally surrounded and disabled, the general had nowhere left to run. Jake and Valara boarded Korax's ship with a small team. They found him in his command center, wounded but still defiant. "You think you have won?" he said to Valara. "But you have destroyed everything our people built. Without fear, without conquest, we will become weak. Other species will attack us." "No," Valara said. "With allies, we will become stronger than we ever were alone." "Allies?" Korax laughed bitterly. "You mean these humans? What can they possibly offer us?" "Friendship," Jake said simply. "Trust. The knowledge that we will stand together against any threat." "Friendship with humans," Korax repeated, shaking his head. "You are even more foolish than I thought." "Maybe," Valara said. "But I would rather be a fool with friends than a tyrant who stands alone." 2 days later, Valara stood before the great assembly on the Zephyrian homeworld. For the first time in their history, representatives from every world in the Empire had been elected by the people instead of appointed by the government. "My people," she said, "today we make a choice that will determine our future for generations to come. Do we continue the old ways of conquest and fear? Or do we try something new?" The debate went on for hours. Some representatives argued for the traditional ways. They said that without military strength, the Empire would fall to its enemies, but others spoke of their hope for a better future. They talked about their children and grandchildren, and the kind of galaxy they wanted to leave behind. When the vote was finally taken, it was close but clear. The Zephyrian Empire would no longer be an empire at all. It would become the Zephyrian Federation, an alliance of free worlds that governed themselves, and the first act of the new federation was to sign a treaty of friendship with humanity. That night, Jake and Valara stood together on the balcony of the royal palace, looking out at the celebration in the streets below. The people were singing and dancing, celebrating not just their freedom, but their hope for the future. "Do you think it will work?" Jake asked. "I do not know," Valara said honestly. "Change is difficult and some of our people will resist it. But for the first time in centuries, we have a chance to be something better than we were." "And what about us?" Jake asked. "What happens to us now?" Valara turned to face him, her golden eyes reflecting the light of the celebration below. "That depends on what you want to happen. I want to stay with you," Jake said. "I want to help you build this new world you're dreaming of. Even though it means leaving your own people behind?" "I'm not leaving them behind," Jake said. "I'm building a bridge between our peoples." Valara smiled and moved closer to him. "A bridge. I like that." "Besides," Jake said, "someone has to make sure you don't backslide into being a tyrant. And you think you can stop me if I do?" "I think I can remind you of who you really are," Jake said. "Just like you reminded your people today." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the celebration below. Then Valara reached up and removed the crown from her head. It was a simple circlet of silver and blue stones, but it represented thousands of years of absolute power. "What are you doing?" Jake asked. I am no longer a queen, she said. I am just Valara now. A woman who wants to build a better world with the man she loves. She held the crown out to him, but Jake shook his head. Keep it, he said. But not as a symbol of power. Keep it as a reminder of what you've given up for something better. For love? She asked. For hope, Jake said. For the belief that tomorrow can be better than today. Valara set the crown aside and moved.